thank you for the invitation to join your conference, even though I'm sorry that I can't be there in person. I'm glad that we could make this arrangement. I do not know that much about technology transfer, but I work in a field, the next door neighbor. I have been a grant writer for many years. And I'm here to talk to you about how we use AI in my field, because we've started doing it a few years ago, and we are rather successful doing it. So I'm going to talk to you about how I do it in my work, how we use and how we build our AI infrastructure at my institution in Microsoft Copilot, which is a simple way to do it. And I'll talk a bit about how I see the field of research management changing because of AI. I'll do some guessing about how it will affect your specific field as well, so bear with me, and there'll be time for questions and comments afterwards, hopefully. So about me, I was also already introduced. The short version here is I've worked for 12 years in research support. And just to add here, I have a master's degree in comparative literature and rhetoric. That's relevant because I want you to know that I'm not a tech guy, I'm a language guy. But working with large language models have enabled me to adopt a programmer's mindset. I can program with my language now, and it has just opened a whole new way of working with technology for me, and hopefully it'll do so for you as well. I'm a very early adopter. I started using ChatGPT in 2022. That was when the first public version was made available, and started building custom GPTs, tools for research management that I shared on my LinkedIn and with my colleagues. At first, I did not use it in my own institution. I was not allowed, so I just did it in my own free time. And luckily, after a while, my institution started growing curious and invited me to do it in a formalized setting. And now I do it out in the open. It's a part of my job description now that I build AI tools for me and my colleagues. I was featured in the Nature article, how research managers are using AI to get ahead, pretty early in 2023. That's something I always bring up in crowds like these, because with people who knows that it is pretty cool to be featured in Nature. So whenever there's a science crowd, I always make sure to mention it. Okay, so let's get started. Avoiding analysis paralysis is the key here. One of the questions that I'm always getting is where to start, because there are so many tools available. And my main point here is that you should not worry about it yet. AI problem solving is a transferable skill. So if you are growing good at using ChatGPT, a lot of you are probably using ChatGPT comfortably and often already, then that skill set you are developing will transfer very nicely into whatever tool you're going to use in the future. So do not spend time looking for specialized tools. I know that there are a lot of commercial tools available right now. But most of them are just reskins of ChatGPT, and they can do basically the same. They're expensive. They'll become obsolete quickly. And part of the business model is to convince you that this is more complicated than it is. Almost everything I do in either ChatGPT or Copilot. I use ChatGPT when I'm doing something that is not data sensitive, and for image generation, and I use Copilot for anything else. Our setup at my institution is that everybody has access to a base license of Copilot, and that is basically the same as ChatGPT. It runs on the same infrastructure, OpenAI. It's just a few months behind in development. But anything that you can set up in ChatGPT, more or less you can set that up in Copilot. And the cool thing is that it is data protected. It is covered by our institution's data management agreement with Microsoft. So we have taken this, made this decision in our institution that we trust Microsoft. And that is a decision that you need to consider as well, because it's an American company, and that can be problematic given the current political climate. But luckily for my AI work, my institution has decided, okay, we trust them. We can also look at Microsoft's track record. As of now, there has been 0 cases against them for non-compliance with the European GDPR. So they literally have a spotless track record for now. So now I'm going to get super practical and show you some examples of what I do. And remember, I'm primarily a grant writer. So bread and butter of my daily work is to write research applications and advise researchers on how to apply for funding. So I could make a prompt like this, create a process plan for the application process in 3 steps based on these notes. The input could be notes from a meeting I've had with a researcher. That could be just scribbles on a blog that I snap a picture of with my phone. It could be transcribed on my phone or in whatever format. And the output would then be a process plan that I can send them in an email. So that's an example of a simple ad hoc text creation task that is not going to change the world, but will save me 15 minutes every time I do it. Another example is create a writing template that complies with the requirements of this application guide, and I will drag and drop the application guide of a given instrument into the language model. And the output could then be a writing template following the funder's required structures, maybe including questions for each section. That is something that I used to do manually, spend a lot of time doing manually, and now it's a drag and drop solution. So the previous prompt saved me 15 minutes every time I do it. This will save me 2 hours every time I do it. Next step could be write an application draft based on these notes. So this is basically automating the main task here. The input, that would take more input, of course, could be the writing template with semi-structured notes. My process is when I do this, and I do this, I write applications from the ground up using language models. I will book our researchers for a 3-hour session, and I will bring the writing template, and I will interview them about each section. I will take notes, and then I will input the notes in the language model. I will also copy paste relevant sections from their previous applications, and then I can use those unstructured, chaotic notes in a structured setting to generate a relatively high quality first draft. And this is really a game changer. This is a task that would normally take writing a first draft at least a few days, maybe up to a week. And now we can actually do a first draft in a half-day session. Another thing that I was not able to do before that I can do now is I can visualize concepts. We have, of course, graphical people working with us, but we never have time to book them. So here's an example, girls interested in STEM. This is from an application that I sent in and got granted. Here's another one. This is from my brother-in-law's PhD dissertation. He's a brain researcher. He does research on flight, feed, or phonicate responses in mice brains. So you see it's a cat. It's a slightly sexy cat wearing lingerie. It's holding up food, so it's triggering the feeding response. And it's dangerous because from a mouse perspective, a cat is dangerous. So just a fun visualization, just something to catch your eyes in an otherwise maybe wall of text dissertation. You can just do that with 5 minutes of prompting. This got me banned, by the way, from Midjourney because apparently you're not allowed to prompt for cat lingerie on American software. Oh, I could hear you laughing. That's great. Yes, another thing, there are some problems associated with these. This is a prompt, generate an auditorium filled with Irish tech trans people, where you see that it is a bit norm-conform by design. So if you want to do something actually interesting and usable, you need to really consider your input. I'll show you. I did the same prompt a few times. Yeah. Yes. So hopefully that's not what you look like. I can't see you, but I assume that you you look a bit more interesting than this. So what you need to do is to think visually. Here's an example. Make the guy from this photo into a video game character, chasing research funding using AI power-ups. So you describe what you want to see instead of just asking ChatGPT to find a solution, and then it will give a pretty good result like this, for example. This is something I could use for a presentation. Well, that's what I'm doing. This is something I am using for a presentation right now. Other examples of everyday use cases is just something like remembering that you can take pictures of stuff and ask for analysis. Sorry, this is in Danish, but it says, can you make a digital copy of the notes on this whiteboard in a format that I can easily copy paste, and the output is here? Something that I can put into an email and copy paste. So how much time would I have spent doing that otherwise? Setting that up, don't know, maybe 20 minutes. And now it's just a 30-second solution. So you need to reprogram your brain into thinking, what kind of problems can I solve using AI? And when you've gotten into that mindset, it's just all the time, everywhere, you will get so much more effective. Another example here is that you can actually talk to Excel files. This is just an example of I think it's a budget, and the user is asking it, what are we spending the most on? It will sort it out, and then the user asks the model to break that out by country, and it will do that, etc. So you can have an Excel file, and if you have if it's easy enough to understand for a language model, the problem here is for it to understand the data. Here there are some nice tags, like country and other tags in the headlines. Then it can actually understand it, and you can ask it to do data visualization. Another example of how I am using it in my work is that I set up agents, specialized agents for specialized tasks. This is an external evaluator simulator that I've made. This is in ChatGPT. You can drag in an application draft, and it will evaluate it in the same format that an external peer reviewer of the Independent Research Fund Denmark would do it. So I can give my researchers a look into the future of the kind of feedback that they can expect on a draft that they have not submitted yet. I've also set that up in our data secure environment. This is Copilot. It is exactly the same, just set up in our own environment. So our researchers can use it without fear of leaking their ideas. I have included the prompt for this, the evaluator simulator, in the notes to this that will be shared afterwards. So if you want to give your research support office a small gift, then you can send that prompt to them, and they'll have a pretty handy tool they can use right away. So that is how I use AI in my work. I've also spent some time thinking about what would I do if I got a job in tech transfer. One of the first thing I would do anywhere was to set up a knowledge sharing community with show and tell formats. I've done this here at my own institution, where we meet once every second week and just show small handy solutions that we've crafted. I would also set up a chatbot with a knowledge base of all the relevant legislation and internal institutional guidelines that you can ask questions to. You guys probably get the same questions all the time. So if using human time to answer those, it would be trivial to set up a chatbot to answer the most common questions. I would also try to set up an automated workflow evaluating commercialization potential in research applications. And I'll talk a bit about that now, because looking into the future, I think that what's going to happen in the next year is that semi-autonomous agents will arrive, and it will be normalized that we are going to set up autonomous processes replicating our current workflows. That sounds complicated, right? And right now it is. We can do it right now. I don't know if anybody recognizes this piece of software. It is Microsoft Power Automate. You guys probably have access to it, but have never used it. It is a pretty simple tool. Many of you will have an auto reply set up right now because you are at a conference. That is an example of a robotic process. If I receive an email when I'm away, I will send an email back to the center explaining that I'll get back to them tomorrow. You can set up more complicated processes in this piece of software, but there is a rather high learning curve to doing it right now. But tomorrow it will be easy. Microsoft has just released a tool called the Screen Recorder for Power Automate. And what that enables you to do is to just press record screen and then do a standardized task, something that you do every day while your mic is on as well, and you'll explain what you're doing. Then based on that input, the screen recording and your audio, that process will be set up automatically for you to approve. So if there's any kind of workflow that you go through most days or many times a week, it's just a matter of showing the software how you do it once, and it will try to automate it for you. That is going to arrive into most enterprise licenses in a few months. So it's going to be available very, very soon. And that will change the way that we work. An example of what that could look like from your perspective. Now I'm just guessing, so I might be wrong, but I'm just throwing spaghetti on the walls here. What I imagine that you guys do, I would create a folder on email inbox as a point of data input and make sure that all the applications or research projects from your institutions got sent or uploaded to that folder automatically. I would just then set up an automated process where a language model agent would check this folder every day. If there was a new application, it would run a prompt, just a language model prompt, making an evaluation of the application's commercialization potential. Then I would run another process checking the relevant databases, whether there's an overlap with existing patents on this potential. The output would then be that it would the program would write you an email with a report on these findings. It would highlight needs for human evaluation if there's ethics or any points of doubts. And it could then suggest an agenda or talking points with the relevant researcher. So it could basically prepare you for taking that meeting. Stuff like that is already being experimented with. I'll show you a fun example here. Someone who has set up a digital twin of this is a game development studio. So this is all these small avatars. They represent a language model with an automated workflow, where some of them will be visual artists, some of them will be concept artists that will suggest an idea for a video game. There will be programmers and playtesters, and they will just pass along tasks to each other, like in a real game development office, until they reached testing and documentation phase, where the language model-based testers would evaluate whether the game is cool and fun and give feedback for an iterative process. This works. You can actually do that. You can set up a machine with interacting automated processes that will create video games without human input. So that's one thing. But what about our field? What about research? This is, of course, happening in research as well. You can read the article. There's a link in the slides. The idea is that we set up a process where a language model generates ideas. There's a novelty check, an idea scoring, experiment templates, etc., etc., etc. So all of the processes that would normally take place in a research group is automated all the way into a paper review phase. This is, of course, a proof of concept. As of now, there are some ethical concerns on whether you can publish stuff like that. but the bricks are being laid. It is possible to do it, and it is the results are publishable. Are the ideas novel? I just told you that language models are norm-conform by design. With the right prompting, you can actually get it to, like, you can brute force the problem. You can come up with novel solutions by coming up with enough solutions and then skimming the cream, taking the best ones. This is another study that evaluated AI-generated research ideas against human-generated research ideas and gave them a novelty score. And the result here was that the pure human control group got a rather low novelty score, or a lower novelty score than the AI agents control group. The good news here is that the researchers also set up a third group where the AI generated the ideas, and the humans then re-ranked them for which ones was best, and that beat both other groups. But this is just to show you that we need to rethink our ideas about what tasks an AI can solve for us. Okay, here's another example, because an agent does not need to be static. It does not need to be text-based. Now I'm hoping that the audio, Peter, can you do a thumbs up or thumbs down whether the audio and this is working? I'll turn it on now.
Hi, Dublin. I'm your technology transfer AI agent. My job is to support the journey from research to real-world impact. I help identify, evaluate, and translate research into commercial value. We used to think of AI agents as text-based and static, but that's changing. Now agents like me can join video calls, talk to you directly, and even reach out before you ask. I don't just wait. I monitor publications and applications, match technologies to companies, and flag potential licensing opportunities. I write drafts, scan patent landscapes, and help you move faster. Not necessarily to replace you, but to support your decisions, to save time, and extend your reach. My likeness and communication style has been based on Mads, and my initial version was trained on the data of his email inbox, as well as every edit he ever did to a Microsoft Word document. I am still in regular contact with Mads. If I am ever in doubt whether something I am doing is ethically irresponsible, I will check in with him and ask for a value alignment, as he works as my institution's human-AI interface strategist. So if you hear from me by email, message, or video, don't be surprised. This is research support, reimagined. Let's get started.
Okay, so this is for now. This is for now a piece of fiction. I have not set up this agent yet, but the technology is here. This is a static agent. This is artificially generated. This is a robot. But I could make an interactive version if I paid more for the software I'm using. I could actually make an agent like this that I could invite into a video meeting or a presentation like this, and it could in real time answer your questions and engage in a dialogue with you based on my email inbox. So that is the future we are looking into, and that is why I advise you to rethink the way you work, because if you don't, then a lot of you are going to look for a new job in 10 years. That's the harsh truth. As I told you, I'm the president of the Danish Association of Research Managers and Administrators, and they don't particularly like me saying that, but I try to say it all the time anyway, because I think that I owe it to them and to you guys as colleagues that the world of work is changing. If you want to know more, you can follow me on LinkedIn. This is a link to my my LinkedIn profile. And that's my presentation. I hope you have some questions for me.